What's up, Fort Knox? Welcome back to my channel. Today is Friday, so you know what that means. Yes, last night, Real Housewives of New York City was on, and it did not disappoint. They never do. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. These women are batshit crazy, as I've told you before. So it starts off where they are, Leah and Luann meet for lunch, and then Tinsley joins them, coughing all over the place without covering her mouth, which is crazy. Really crazy, and now that we're thinking, but of course this was shot a while ago. And Leah starts talking about how everyone was just crazy last week, or which was the day before, how everyone was crazy at the orchard, which is, she's right. Everyone was just like on level. I don't know what kind of energy was going on there, but it was absolutely crazy. And Tinsley has lost her voice from all the screeching that she does. She does this screeching thing when she starts to get upset, and she has lost her voice, which is probably for the best, because then it'll keep her a little bit quiet from all that screeching and stuff. Luann finds Tinsley annoying. She's just like, let's just face it, Tinsley's annoying. And Tinsley is annoying. Her personality, the screeching of the voice, all of that can be annoying. But that being said, she still deserves respect. And, you know, Leah has this theory that Dorinda will only respect Tinsley. Well, first of all, she's like, I feel like Dorinda doesn't respect Tinsley because she was born into the life that basically that Dorinda married into. And, you know, she was born with that silver spoon in her mouth, and she just feels like she can't relate to her. And, you know, that's kind of unfair. But, you know, she also has this theory that Dorinda is never going to respect her unless Tinsley stands up to Dorinda. Well, I've been saying that. If you guys look back at my past videos, I've been saying that over and over again, that Dorinda only respects people who she feels has a backbone. And even she says it. She feels like she's, you know, they're like opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, she is very strong and and very gangsta. And Tinsley is absolutely just, you know, seems kind of weak to her. And so she's like, well, you know what? If Dorinda, Leah says this, if Tinsley just stood up to Dorinda and was just like, F you, bitch, you know, like, she'd be like, no doubt. I don't know if it would really go that way, but I do feel like she would start to respect her a little more. And I think I told you in the previous video, the last episode, that when you talk to someone and you want them to listen to what you're saying, and you really want them to get what you're saying and really respect you, you sometimes have to deepen your tone in your voice and talk really, like, those are the people who people listen to. People whose tone is very deep. Even if you don't have a deep voice, but like deepen your tone just a bit, drop the pitch a little bit, and then not so loud and quiet, because nobody ever listens to you when you're screeching and screaming and everybody's going back and forth, because you get loud and they get louder, whatever. But I digress. So then we cut to Ramona's fitness class, and Ramona is so arrogant. She's just like, oh, my friends are going to come and they're going to see how like fit I am and like how you got my body, and they're going to like want it and everything. So Dorinda, Sonya, and Ramona are taking this class. And what really surprised me in this scene was that Sonya is not more flexible. She talks about her sex life and how much sex she's having and all this stuff, and it's like, you think she would be more flexible than this, but she's just like not up for the flexibility. Ramona's concerned about Sonya's drinking. Well, we're all concerned about Sonya's drinking. Sonya is vulgar. She gets trashy when she starts drinking. It is an absolute mess. Like, and I'm not judging, but it gets out of hand. Like the episode before this one, where she got so messy and was like flirting and vulgar with the sommeliers and the owner of the vineyard, just really made no sense at all. And she gets out of control. And then Ramona brings up, well, in her confessional anyway, she talks about how that Tinsley's not a victim, but Dorinda victimizes Tinsley. I don't disagree with that. And they talk about how they feel like, you know, she's independent. Tinsley's independent, but she's not psychologically independent. And Dorinda's just like, I just can't get with that. Like, you know, we're all very strong, independent women. And here we got this one person who is just not, just like psychologically, she's just not dependent or strong. Independent and strong. And I'm not sure I agree with that. Like and I think it's just the way she carries herself that has this like lack of respect going on in the group. It's really interesting to me. So then we cut to another scene where Dorinda goes to see her life coach, and she talks about her anger, her frustration, and how she wants Tinsley to be strong. And I'm just like, why is this your business? You know, I get it. If this is someone in your friend group, you want her to be strong, and it's important for Tinsley to be strong as a woman and not depend on her mother, her family, or or a guy to make her happy and wanting this fairy tale and all this stuff. And I think because Dorinda has lived that fairy tale, and that fairy tale came to a screeching halt when Richard died, I think that's why she wants Tinsley to be strong and not just buy into that whole fairy tale. I get that. But you can't project your issues onto someone else who hasn't even lived that life yet that she wants to live. But she's, you know, I've been saying this all along, but the great thing is that at least she's taken a little bit of accountability for this. And she's also, she's becoming more self-aware, I think, because it's like when she's in the moment, when, like I talked about before, how she is, you know, like I'm not, like, everybody sees me as gangsta and, like, you know, or I'm intimidating. I'm like, how are you not self-aware? Well, this part of her life seems much more like she's much more self-aware about this. And she feels like she needs to be more selfish and just like take care of herself. And, you know, she's been using John for that, and John kind of served his purpose. And, you know, that was it. Her daughter thought that she started dating John too soon afterwards, but she needed John for that time in her life. It kind of seems unfair, but I mean, it is what it is. She kind of used John for the purpose that she needed in her life, and now John is no longer needed. So then we cut to the Russian Bathhouse. It was Leah's idea because Luann said everybody needed a relaxing spa day. Well, this is probably not what Luann had in mind, but Leah took it upon herself to book the Russian Bathhouse, which is apparently legendary in New York. She feels like everybody just needs to let go and let God. So, you know, Tinsley shows up, and something seems so sketchy about them wanting to lock up their jewelry. I get it. You don't want to mess up your jewelry in this spa or whatever. But these women have very expensive jewelry, especially Tinsley. And Tinsley's like, I'm not locking up my shit. Like, come on. Like, it's really hilarious to me. But she wants to keep her jewelry on. And it's just, did you guys see when they put the jewelry in, it just doesn't look very secure. They put it in like a lockbox, and I guess you get the key, or I don't know what goes on, but the way they're like, oh, you have nice jewelry. Let us take it. It just seems like some sketchy mess has gone on there before. I don't know, but, you know, I digress. Dorinda and Sonya and Luann are absolute snobs. They're like, we do not come down to downtown unless it's for a birth certificate, a life certificate, or death certificate, birth certificate, death certificate, or Luann says, or probation. I have spent a lot of time in New York. I love New York. I've spent a lot of time in, you know, downtown New York, and I've spent a lot of time, I've stayed in the Upper East Side, and New York in general has little pockets that are like, seem sketchy, or like the gates are down or whatever. But for the most part, it's cool, like during the day. But these women are absolute snobs. They're like, oh, I don't even come down here. It's dirty. The temperature changes when you come down here, or it's like grayer down here. And I'm just like, this just looks like so, this is starting to take me back to like, oh, you have a tattoo, that part, you know? Ramona warns Tinsley when she arrives to just let it go with Dorinda. And she's like, I don't know why I'm bringing up this negativity, and she should not. Side note, she starts talking about the crepey cleavage right here. And she's like, Sonya has it right here. You got to moisturize right here. She's absolutely right. And if any advice I'm going to take from Ramona is anti-aging, because the woman's 60-something years old and she looks absolutely amazing. And so she's absolutely right. This whole crepey thing, it happens here. I don't know if it comes from like pushing up your boobs and just like that whole like thing there. But when you're moisturizing your face, ladies, make sure you moisturize every night your décolleté, because that does start getting crepey right there the older you get. And I've seen it many times as a former makeup artist, and also on just, you know, people. You've seen that whole like crepey thing there. So that's a little side note and great advice from her, even though she shaded Sonya in the process. But so basically everybody arrives, and it's a little bit awkward between, you see Tinsley stays a little standoffish when Dorinda arrives, and rightly so just she doesn't want any more problems, just stay away from her. Another side note, Leah has an amazing body, and let me just tell you, Bethany used to be my favorite. Leah, I don't miss Bethany because Leah has taken over that role. I've said this before. Leah has become my favorite New York housewife. She's down to earth. She's amazing. Yeah, absolutely. She has an incredible body. I've said that already. Dorinda thinks that the spa looks like a hammam spa. But Sonya thinks it looks like gel. And I can see both of those. Like, it's really funny, the perspective from both of them. But it is kind of old looking and a little like, how often are we cleaning this place? That's the kind of vibes I get. Like, how often are they cleaning this? I don't know. But this leaf thing that they're doing, where they like they hit them with the leaves and all that. What the hell is this? First of all, I'm way too ticklish to ever have this done. Like, this would drive me insane. I'm extremely ticklish, and I can't stand being tickled. I have a thing about being tickled. Like, you can't be in my life if you are one of those people that wants to tickle me. I can't. So this whole like beating of it's apparently great for circulation. I don't know what that's about. Tinsley is not participating, which honestly just makes her look very, it makes her stand out and kind of makes her look like the spoiled little brat that they already think that she is. But then they decide to sit down and have lunch. The food actually looks really great in this place. I don't know where this food came from. I mean, maybe it's a part that we didn't see. I know Leah ordered it earlier, but the food actually looks great. It just, you know, this place just screams, it has a little bit of dinge to it. It probably needs to be a little redecorated or kind of updated, but maybe that's part of the charm. But Leah decides to bring up the elephant in the room, which was the orchard trip. You know, basically like, we just need to acknowledge this. And Dorinda's like, okay, fine, I acknowledge it. But that's, you know, that's not enough, because Ramona has to bring up the fact that when someone is upsets Dorinda, she goes for the jugular. And it's true. If you say just a slight bit of thing to her or criticize her just a slight way, she starts hitting below the belt. She goes for the jugular. She just goes, like, cuts right down. And because she's already intimidating, it makes it even worse, because she just goes straight to like, and I get it. You can't insult someone and tell them, or go at somebody and tell them how mad to get. But she just seems to always get like super like, like if you just kind of tap me, I want to choke you. And, in true Dorinda form, she basically qualifies what Ramona just says. She says, you know, her exact words were, you do it all the time, so you should recognize it very well. And I'm like, even that is just like, oh, here we go, you know. Dorinda they start going back and forth, and Dorinda says that you should have pulled me aside instead of pulling up issues from the past and all this other stuff, like, you know, whatever. And, leave it to Leah to be the level-headed one. And it's so funny because they think that Leah is the one who's rough around the edges, but she's the only one who actually makes sense in here. And sometimes Luann, but like, Leah is the one, is the least crazy of all of them. And they think she's the rough around the edges one. Maybe because she's rough around the edges, she tends to has had more life experience in that way, even though they're older than her, but she's the only one who's the voice of reason. But Luann makes a comment in her confessional saying, instead of listening to what everyone's saying, Dorinda decides to pick a fight with whomever she can pick a fight with to deflect. And this time it just happens to be Ramona. And it's absolutely true. She picks a fight. It's like, you tell me something, I'm just going to go straight for whoever is the weakest link right here and just go for them just to deflect it from herself. And that's not a good tactic, I don't feel. But Tinsley says, you know, out of the blue, she's been quiet most of the time and just says, listen, I don't judge you. And of course, Dorinda cuts her off. It's like, I don't judge you either. Isn't that what this has all been about? That is absolute BS. this whole thing has been about the fact that you judge this woman for the way that she lives her life. Now, I get why you judge her, because you don't want her to, repeat a pattern, or you see something in yourself, in her that reflects something in yourself. But I don't judge you either. Maybe you won't judge her in the future, but this has all been about you judging her, Dorinda. So I think that's complete BS. So then we cut, we're away from this scene, and we cut to, we meet Leah's sister. And it's so funny because they're opposite in looks. She's taller than Leah, and brunette, but they have similar personalities. I identify with this because they're best friends, and my sister and I were best friends. And I love this. But it's really funny because they start bringing up a guy who Leah's dating. He's a Jewish guy. She's dating some guy who's very quirky and corny, but he sent a nude to that she sent him, and accidentally was supposed to send it to one of his friends, but sent it to her. It's like, you don't share nudes with your boys as somebody you're dating that you're going to get serious with. So I absolutely feel like this is not a serious thing. I don't think she takes him serious either. She says she tends to date guys who are ugly and weird. So it's like the Beauty and the Beast kind of thing. I've heard of this happening before, and I get this. I've seen this before. You see it even in pop culture and celebrities that will date. You see like the most beautiful girl, and you're like, this is a very interesting couple. I don't like to call people ugly, but she definitely likes to date ugly guys. I think that's very interesting. Her sister reveals that her mom is still upset with Leah, and that I feel like Leah needs to go do what Ramona said and go and talk to her mom, because it's been very surface level. They've started talking on the phone, but the mom's still upset. And just stop telling her everything, and stop telling her all the bad behavior that you're doing, or whatever she might deem as bad behavior. But she's one of those kids that connects with her parents through bad behavior. I don't understand this, but I've seen this. I've seen this in my own family. Like, you act out and you get the attention of your parents when you feel like that's the only way that you can get it. Whatever. But I can see that. I don't want to dismiss it, but okay, fine. I don't identify with it, but Leah realizes she needs to change that. So, hey, go ahead and change it. So then they get to Ramona's house, and messy and insignificant. That's the only word I can use to describe Elise's role. Like, we have so many strong personalities on here. We do not need, I've said it before, we don't need a friend to the show on here, but they're trying to use Elise as friend to the show, I guess. But she starts looking for Ramona's condoms, and she's like, I don't have any condoms here, like, whatever. I don't know why this woman is here, but whatever. I'm sure she's lovely, but she just doesn't fit into this cast, and it's very insignificant. And I've spent too much time on her. But Ramona is doing this whole like fake embarrassment thing. Ramona doesn't want you to know that she pretends to not want you to know that she's sexually active. Like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. But at 60 years old, slightly proud of the fact that she's having this amazing sex, whatever. But Sonya arrives with that annoying, I can't stand the sound of a ringing phone, and I can't stand the sound of a ringing doorbell. Just presses on it. That's just a side note. And Ramona's friends are there. You know how Ramona is with her society friends. She wants to like socialize up, basically. She wants to be a part of the social group. Her friends look very like clueless and extremely judgy to me, just with their faces, like, whatever. You even notice if you go back and look, when Dorinda walks in, they kind of look her up and down, like, So yeah, Dorinda brings up the spa, and she's like, Ramona, what you did was wrong. And here comes the hypocrisy. It's like, you said you wanted me to, she literally said, and you noticed earlier I said that Dorinda wants Ramona to pull her aside if she has something to say to her. Here she is in front of these people that she does not even know, Ramona's friends, in Ramona's house, and being an absolute hypocrite. And then they bring up my favorite word, with the schadenfreude. I love this word so much. I learned this word sometime last year. I have this thing that comes to me on email where you learn a new word like every so often, every week or something, there's a new word, and I use this all the time. And schadenfreude basically means that you find pleasure in something bad happening to someone else. It's like when you see karma happening to someone, like, you secretly take pleasure in it. It's it's one of my favorite words. I don't usually feel this word, but I love the word because it's a great word for what it actually is. And they start going back and forth, and Dorinda's like, you don't support me. And they're just, I mean, like literally going back and forth. And it's just like, Dorinda gives me very much Kyle vibes. Kyle from Beverly Hills, very much. She is going through a similar struggle as Kyle. It's very interesting to me. But Dorinda says that Ramona wants you to do well, and I kind of agree with this. She wants you to do well, but not better than her. And I have gotten that over the years from Ramona. And then Ramona says to her, and here's where the shit just hits the fan. Ramona says, I'm sorry that you're so unhappy, that you're so unhappy. I'm sorry that Richard died. You know, I guess it's the anniversary of Richard coming up. I'm so sorry, you know, just going back. And then here comes Dorinda, and you know she's going to go for that jugular. She's like, I'm so sorry that there's been so many men that have come and gone in your life, and that you can't keep a man. And Ramona, this is so crazy to me because it's like they're going back and forth. It's like, you're not going to fight with me in my own house. So Ramona did what basically I think I would do if I was in, but I don't have friends like this, so I can't really relate. But Ramona kicks her out. And so, of course, Sonya goes with her. And then Dorinda's in the hallway, and I'm like, where do you guys live that you're in the hallway going, like, screaming? The neighbors aren't coming out, like, what in the hell is going on? But maybe she warned the neighbors that we'll be filming, so it'll be a little crazy. I don't know. But she kicks them out. Dorinda goes in the hallway. She starts yelling, and, you know, Ramona goes out into the hallway, and here comes the waterworks. It's like, oh, my God, true to form, I'm done. It's like, here comes the waterworks. It's like they are just like the Beverly Hills. I don't know what this is, because this doesn't happen. And I can only say this might be like a white woman problem. I don't know. I don't know, because this happens in Beverly Hills. This happens in New York. And this just does not happen a lot in Atlanta. This doesn't happen in Potomac. I don't know what it is about, like, these women that, like, start doing the bullying and start doing all this stuff and bring up all this stuff. You're the reason for your self-crime, because Dorinda brought this up. And now we're going back into the hallway, and we're going out into the hallway, and we're going to start screaming and going back and forth. And this is so schizophrenic, this whole exchange, because then Ramona starts doing her fake crying, and we know Ramona does her fake crying. She's very easy, like, she cries just so easily and whatever. And they just say, I love you, I'm like, you're my sister, and I don't want to fight with you, and I don't want blah, 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 blah. And it's back and forth. It's just a whole shit show, and I'm just not here for it. It's just crazy. It's a mess. And I'm really happy that they ended this and squashed this, and they go back into it's like, okay, now what are these friends going to think when they go back into the apartment? But I am glad that the producers ended this right here on this episode, so that it doesn't carry over into another episode and they have more issues and have to apologize and all this stuff. Even though it's schizophrenic, it's a hot ass mess, and I was here for it because it's entertaining. Like I said, I can't relate at all. I don't have friends like that, in the words of Cardi B. But it's really entertaining to watch, and it's really entertaining to review it for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Whose team are you on? Who's your favorite housewife? What do you think of Leah? What do you think of Dorinda and her mess? Tinsley and her mess? Ramona, Dorinda, Luann, everybody. Like, let me know. What do you think of Elise? Write down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and make sure that you watch another video. We're in quarantine right now. Watch some more videos on my channel. I love you guys for watching. Love you. Bye.